Good morning, everyone. July 1st, 2020. Man, this year. Alright. So, yesterday, my video, the last 2 minutes or so, I guess, were cut off for some reason. And why? But nonetheless, it was. Makes me wonder what's up with that. Anyway, we focus a lot on the negative things that are happening around us. And sometimes it really grows heavy. So, let us today start out with something not so negative. Human beings, we are capable of so much more than what we currently are. Our minds can transcend time and space. And we have the potential to be really quite remarkable. All we have to do is shed our negative feelings, our jealousy, our envy, our anger, and hatred. And it's not as difficult as one thinks it is. So, instead of us hating, fearing, why don't we love and embrace? Let's get to it, people. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it right quick and then get into the body of this video. There's a lot of next level shit going on, and and it's just slipping by everyone. There is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. Let me stop right there for a brief pause. The only crisis that is occurring is the crisis created by our governments, from China to the United States to Russia to England, all of them. They created the crisis through their stupid actions, through their authoritarianism. And now, the rest of the world, us peasants, get to pay the consequences for their bad mistakes or decisions. To improve the state of the world, and what the fuck does that mean exactly to them? I have a good idea. I mean, it is written on the Georgia Guidestones, is it not? I'm sorry, written isn't the proper word. Engraved in stone. Engraved. The World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. And you have to ask yourself, what exactly do they mean by stakeholders? Are they talking about the individual governments? Are they along with the corporations and the billionaires? Could it be? Why is it people like Bill Gates gets to make decisions for the rest of us? Now, in case you thought the current state of things is just going to go away, fizzle out, yet another time, allow me to point out that there are these same billionaires fueling this civil unrest. They are fueling this so-called health crisis. They are fueling every bad thing that is currently going on this here planet, except for some of the natural stuff. I say some because I'm pretty sure they got their hands in the fucking weather too. Pretty sure. So, we're going to start with this one here because it's a video clip. And, you know, maybe I'll skip the video clip and just get down to what it says here. Social distancing is a CIA protocol that amounts to torture. This one's from Max Slavo. I'm not going to hit the entire article, but the nitty-gritty here. So, social distancing is a euphemism for social isolation. Now, look, some people can take being isolated, but others, it is utter torture for them. My children, for example, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I got a pretty quiet household. Okay? And the only time it's noisy is when, say, somebody comes to visit, or we get a package in from UPS or FedEx, and the noise is my dogs and not my children. So I have a very quiet place here with naturally quiet people for the most part. And my children, it don't bother them to be isolated from others. It don't bother us. But we've had plenty of bad experiences with outside people. Maybe that's what it takes. So this social isolation, it was a technique that was developed about 70 years ago by the CIA, and they found it was really, really good at breaking down enemies of the state. Why is it children, though, are being treated as enemies of the state? They go on, Max Slavo, I believe it was, he goes on to pose the question, so what the hell are we doing to the children? Why are they enemies of the state? And this is simple. If you are an American citizen with a Social Security number, you are an enemy of the state. Whether you're a good, law-abiding puppy or a criminal, you both share that label. If you're not a politician, you are the enemy, and they want to enslave you under the New World Order, or I call the One World Order. And the government, your elected officials, your current sitting president, is a part of all of it. And they are here to manufacture your compliance. Compliance equals weakness. This is not a conspiracy theory. They are coming out and saying it now. And several sites, including this one, have proven this time and time again. So basically, it destroys the part of the brain that is responsible for learning in our children ourselves. Apparently that's what social isolation supposedly does. Let me get down here. The CIA realized at that meeting and others that social distancing and social isolation techniques were, quote, the ideal way of breaking down a prisoner. I'm going to say that again. The ideal way of breaking down a prisoner. So what do you call yourself when you're forced at the barrel of a gun to stay at home? You are a prisoner. Right? Or am I thinking about this all wrong and I'm just being a negative ninny? You tell me. Please do comment. Please do thumbs up. Please do share if you deem my content worth sharing. And basically, a lot of this boils down to parents not wanting to take responsibility for their children and ship them off to school, where all manner of things can happen to them, including but not limited to being murdered, assaulted, sexually assaulted, and other things, indoctrinated. So here's some bullet points that they have included here. It was developed 70 years ago by the CIA to break down enemies of the state. It is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day and being an alcoholic. It doubles the risk of death and destroys the part of the brain responsible for learning. To learn more about the secret military meeting in Canada in the 1950s that gave rise to social distancing and isolation techniques, and to learn the basis for the 6-foot distance rule during times of COVID, watch this video. Bottom line, the CA Department of Education has no business deploying CIA protocols, and neither does any other public institution. And this is why I said in yesterday's video, why stop with police? Defund all of it. And you know, in my opinion, that is literally the most rational and nonviolent solution you can think of. Defund all of it. So there's that one. That one was at shtfplan.com, and it included a couple of videos. I'm not going to do that. I prefer to speak for myself, actually. So, if you want to check it out, there's where it's at. Alright. This one. You know what? There was another one that I meant to pull up, and it regarded customs finding a whole bunch of gun parts from China being shipped here. So make no mistake about it, this communist upheaval that you're seeing, it's not only being funded by these billionaires, it is also being aided by the Chinese Communist Party. And by the way, you know, I have to say, the people who think conservatives are so great, allow me to point out to you that they've been involved with this as well. I mean, none of this stuff could have been gotten done without both sides participating. So quit being delusioned and understand that you are the enemy, period. It does not matter whether we're talking about Republicans or Democrats. It does not matter if they're conservative or liberal. These ideologies are chains bound or binding your mind. Okay, so Brandon Smith from altmarket.com, he touts being conservative. And I'm going to go ahead and, even though I disagree with these being conservative characteristics, I'm going to go ahead and quote him here. As I have noted in the past, in order to be a conservative, one has to stick to certain principles. For example, you have to stand against big government and state intrusions into individuals' lives. Okay, let me stop right there. Can you find any conservatives that actually adhere to this? It's kind of like trying to find a Christian that actually adheres to the teachings of Jesus Christ. I mean, if you did, you would want nothing at all to being a Republican or a Democrat. You'd want nothing at all to do with the churches that exist today. Nothing. You have to support our constitutional framework and defend civil liberties. You also have to uphold the rights of private property. Now, he gets into talking about Google, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, And talking about how they've been banning people like Stefan Molyneux for espousing conservative viewpoints. And how people are arguing, well, these are private companies, and there is no such thing as free speech or free speech rights on the websites. And that is true until it becomes a public utility. And clearly, by now, we all realize that the internet is a public utility. And keep in mind that these companies have received extensive government bailouts, i.e. taxpayer money, and corporate welfare. So I would argue that those facts right there would disqualify them as being private corporations. They're not. They belong to the people. All right? Not to the corporations anymore. They are public utilities now. So they're purging a whole bunch of people on these social media sites, including YouTube. It's a miracle I have not been banned yet, but give it a week or two more, and it too will happen. And then I guess I'll be going to Parler and BitChute. That's all I could do if I even continue to make videos at all. So there's that one. My patients grow weary of this. All right. Think the cancel mobs can't get any worse. Think again. Again, this is not going away. This is being fueled by billionaires and the Chinese Communist Party and our government, our own government. So, it's not going away. Just like this fake pandemic isn't going away. And we know that it's fake, once again, because of the date given on the CARES Act. What more fucking proof do you need? Thanks for the commenter that said that. Yes, what more fucking proof do you need? This one is from Harlan Hill via realclearpolitics.com. And oddly enough, it is that very mechanism that is to blame for all of this. Politics. Control. America is in the midst of one of the greatest moral panics in our nation's history. If we don't stand up for our nation's core values, what is that exactly? That pause is so you can think about that for a moment. The situation could get even worse, and soon. I disagree with him. It will get worse, and soon. If you spent any time on social media in the last 3 weeks, you've probably noticed the organized campaigns to get college and even high school students expelled or denied admission based on their political views. You've also seen gleeful mobs celebrating as Americans lose their jobs for running afoul of someone's momentary political obsessions. Every sector in American society, or in every sector of American society, people are having their careers destroyed to the pitiless baying of the woke masses. What exactly is woke anyway? I'll tell you. Woke is holding the ideology of Leninists and Marxists, of communists, like China, Maoist. That's what it is to be woke. And what it is to be awake isn't running to the conservative or Republican side. Being awake is to be aware that the system itself, the whole thing, is a mechanism for enslavement. The churches, the mosques, the, what do they call the Jewish ones? Oh, fuck. What does it matter? I'm not Jewish. I'm not any of those things. Nonetheless, they're places of worship. The city halls, all of it. That's what it truly means to be awake. Holding dear the notion that one owns oneself and not a fucking government or another individual is what it means to be awake. Being awake also means that you know you are the only one truly responsible for your life. Nobody else. As much as in my younger days I would have liked to believe that it was somebody else's fault, it all boils down to me. And likewise, you. So, people's lives are being destroyed for not buying into this whole Marxist, Leninist, Maoist ideology they call woke. You see, they're just using the racist part to agitate and recruit minorities to go against those of us who truly want freedom, who truly want justice to be put back into the hands of people. It's happening in entertainment, in academia, and pretty much anywhere someone can be found who is not sufficiently supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement, or as I call it, the Marxist-Leninist Maoist movement. And they flat out said they are trained Marxist. Okay? And this is even happening to people who've done nothing at all. Nothing. They go on to say that they long since debunk the notion that the OK sign is somehow racist. That was just a fiction perpetrated by internet trolls. But in this case, this man lost his livelihood, despite of the fact he wasn't even making an OK sign. These people are not seeking to change the margins. They're demanding a total cultural revolution, and coward public officials are giving it to them. You know, the people that you still want to vote for, you fucking retards. So there's that one. And make no mistake about it, a part of this is about getting rid of whites. White lives don't matter. Academic, I resist urges to kneecap white men. And I bet this woman is borderline retarded. Seriously. I bet she is. If not fully, even though she's probably, a professor. Just because you're a professor does not make you intelligent. You could easily be a fucking retard like this woman. These people are going to mess with the wrong people, wrong individuals, and all fucking hell is going to break loose on a scale that is unimaginable to most people. You think I'm kidding? We will get to a point where white people absolutely refuse to aid Africa anymore. And these people have to have an awfully low opinion of themselves if they say, I resist urges to kneecap white men every day, so no, I'm the fucking hero. How's this thing a fucking hero? And this person doomed herself. Dominic Samuels. So, a more anti-white racism. Now, I apologize for having my forecast come true a year later than I said, but the timing is very, very difficult. In case you don't think that there's all kinds of random attacks going on with black on white crime right now, you should probably go dig some things up and you'll find out just how bad it is. Now keep in mind that this is a small minority of that minority doing this. Keep in mind, it's also other white people and Latinos doing this. So, last one for Zero Hedge here. Should government save lives or jobs amid a pandemic? The government should have just fucking stayed out of it. So no, they should not have saved lives, and no, they should not have saved jobs. All this stuff was going to happen with or without the pandemic. It just so happened that they used it as a way to get people fucking agitated and divided even further. And it worked well. I refer you back to the first article I covered. You know, the CIA method of breaking enemies of the state. Just a couple of lines here. It looked like the U.S. had reached the peak of its coronavirus infections on April 24th when it experienced 36,738 new daily cases, a figure that fell to 17,618 by May 11th. Back then, it looked like the U.S. had put the worst behind it. So, while testifying in front of the Senate in mid-May, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the top U.S. infectious disease expert, cautioned against reopening too early, stating that the virus could spiral out of control. On June 26, the U.S. reopened 45,000, reported 45,300 new daily infections, and at least 16 states have either paused or backtracked on reopening their economies. So, that food shortage that everyone has been warning about, it's racing at us, people. It's racing at us. I hope all of you took some of the advice that was given by some of the YouTube community, such as, gardening, buying massive amounts of food, as much as you can anyway, among other things, being prepared. I really do. The days we've all been waiting for are here. One more, I'm not going to even touch the articles, just going to bring your attention to these. Court rules horrific abuse video inadmissible, overturns cop's sexual assault conviction. Again, the courts taking the side of a predator. Dangerously frightened cop holds innocent man at gunpoint for driving home from work. I brought the next one to your attention, but hell, judge's son admits to 35 counts of trafficking child porn involving infants. He gets no jail. Meanwhile, guy that got pulled over with a quarter pound of weed is rotting in fucking prison for having a plant. Cops handcuffed man and beat him for 6 minutes for walking on the wrong side of the road. And I brought that one to your attention too. I told you about 6 months back, maybe a little less than that. The further we got into this collapse, the worse the government was going to act out. I think it's safe to say that this is exactly what's happening with a lot of our law enforcement officer or law enforcement offices or departments. guns, whatever you want to call them. Was there another one? Yeah. SWAT team blows up family's home in search of a shoplifter. Supreme Court says so what? Taxpayers to be held liable after cops grope woman, beat the hell out of her for pulling away. 10 cops do nothing as officer calls woman a fucking cunt, assaults her for legally filming. Former presidential advisor gets 10 years for holding 14-year-old boy captive as his sex slave. Again, if you're pro-government, you're complicit in this, morally anyway. Riot cops attack peaceful families at violin tribute to Elijah McClain. Isn't that nice of them? So, continue to bow to these people. Continue to vote for these pedophiles. Continue to do the same. Because it's worked so well, right? Until next time, kill the state, live free.